Hello, I am Roberto, CEO of Tribot, and I'm going to show you how we built a Miami Gardens project for Fusion TV, Fusion.net. Basically, it's an interactive visualization. Here you can see it, where we are showing how many times Earl Sampson was stopped by the police in 5 years of his time. So they wanted to show in an impactful way how many times he was stopped inside his workplace, inside his home, and in the vicinity, how long from it. So these are all stops by the police. Most of these stops last 1 hour, so this is very impressive. Like here, he's been stopped 3.5 times each month, and so far he's been stopped 68 times. So basically, this is the interactive visualization. We got some interactive metrics on the side, and the regular stuff we got. We got some videos on the bottom too from YouTube, and all that's working really cool. Also, this is the local version. Like I'm working. This is the version that I work with on my own computer when I'm iterating over this and making this work. This is the actual published version, and this is the mobile version. You see, the mobile version is a little different from the desktop version. And this, by no means, this is no responsive design. This is no mobile first, all that stuff. This is for real. This is multi-platform. Okay, let me show you something else too, because this is how we started. What we are using to build this is the Tribot App Factory franchise. An App Factory franchise, it's everything you need to start building applications. Anything that you need to build for the web. In this case, we are building interactive visualizations to be deployed inside a content management system of Fusion.net. See, this is Fusion.net. What we want to do is we want to build an interactive visualization that runs in here. Not in an iframe, but that actually runs and works and can be searched, and everything is a regular part. Here we got one. This is our last project with them. It's a story about a lot of people in the US that have been in jail for over 5 and 6 years, and they have not been to trial yet because of budget problems and because of other bureaucracy problems. This guy was in jail, it's in jail, 38.8 years without trial. This guy is actually innocent. He has already been declared innocent. He's still in jail. Some of these guys are guilty in the end, some of these guys are innocent. But the important part is that this animation runs inside the CMS without any problem. So whether it's a mobile version or it's a desktop version, it's going to run. So when we're working with Fusion, it's very important that we talk to each other. You know, there's a lot of people involved in this project, journalists, editors, creative directors, IT people. So by using versions, and it's very easy to publish a version, by using versions, we can show advances and start talking to them. And this is how the project went up, you know, the colors and how everything started to shape up until we got to the final version. And I'm just going by random, showing different versions. We got almost like 65 if I'm not wrong. Here we try to put the videos inside the actual boxes, but we felt that it like kind of blocked the graph, and we didn't like that. That's why we moved it to the bottom. But there's a lot of decisions when we're building interactive visualizations or normal applications. So it's very important that we can preview them and go back to look at them and say, hey, yeah, we're doing the right work. Fix the styles. Here the styling is a little off, you can see. Up until we get to the final version. The cool thing is that even though we're publishing versions, the current version that we choose, whichever we choose to actually publish, is going to be in this link for both the mobile version and the actual version. So in order to do this, we got something called the Tribot CLI, and it's part of the Tribot App Factory franchise, which is a command line tool. It's a command line tool. Let me make this a little bigger here. It's a command line tool that helps us do all this. Help us build the initial project, helps us publish it in versions like this, or like this actually, like I was showing you. Keep versions, you know, upload it, preview it, share the link, share what we're doing with all the people involved in the team, and finally publish to the final version. Also, the other part, it's the actual code. Let me do a code review to show you how this works. Okay, so basically, this is the application, the Gardens, Miami Gardens application. And here is the code. The important thing about this code is that we can separate the application in several files. Like this project is like 2,500 lines of code. We cannot have 2,500 lines of code in this file all the way to the bottom. That would be like the same as you writing all your documents, instead of separating them in files and folders, just have them in one huge Word document, for example, or all your spreadsheets in one huge spreadsheet. We need to organize things, and the same for developers. So we have two starting points. This is the starting point for the desktop version. This is the starting point for the mobile version. They are a little different. In this case, we're doing a trick because they're pretty similar. You see, the only difference is that we have a different component. This is a completely different component. It's not the same as the vertical bar. And the graph is a little bit to the right on the desktop version, while it's in the middle. It's in the middle on the mobile version. So in order to do this, we also have control because of Tribot and because of the Tribot blueprint. These are part of the Tribot blueprints. It's the way we build applications. The way we can do this. We can build a mobile application and a desktop application, sharing 90% of the code. So how we do this? Take a look at this trick. What we do is, if the device is a phone, this means that the screen size is lower than 420 pixels, we do this. If it's not a phone, then we position it where we want to position it. And yes, it takes a lot of code to position this, because this is an interactive visualization. It's a pretty complex piece of code. But this is a little bit to the right, and this is in the middle, and that's how we do it. Also for the timeline, we have different see, we are drawing the desktop labels and the mobile labels, and this is a little different. Okay, in this version we got drag and drop. In the other version we got mouse. It works with the mouse. Here we're using Chrome tools to actually, let me show you, to emulate that I'm running an iPhone 5. We can do any other device. Okay, so another key part is the model. This is where all the data is. The lines, I called each stop a line in this application, and each one of these points is a line. So we want to know where the dragger is, so that we can calculate these statics, these metrics, and that we can see how many lines we want to show there. In order to do that, we use a model that's also part of Tribot, is the Tribot model, and look how this works. This is very simple actually. When I move the dragger here, when I move the timeline, when I drag the timeline, it actually triggers an event. That's all it does. It triggers an event and it says, hey, I am the timeline and I'm in this position. This is the current position, and yes, I require some math to do it, but once you do the math, it's pretty easy. The radial map, for example, this is the radial map. The radial map is waiting. Let me show you. The radial map is waiting for this event to be triggered by the data. So when the current change event it's triggered anywhere in the application, I'm listening to it and I'm taking action. And taking action means doing this. The same happens for these two components. Another key part is the event data. So this is the event data, and as you can see, we got a name, we got a type, we got a date where it should be shown, and we got a left and top position. And that's how we're positioning this, because these are controlled by the journalists and the editors. These are not controlled by the developer. So we're not looking at the final version, we're actually looking at a draft. This is how they position it. The text is also controlled by them using an internal process that we have. This is not a content management system. It's way easier, way better. Also, we have different starting points. This is the starting point for the desktop version. And as you can see, we got videos here. And this is the starting point for the mobile version. We also have videos actually. What we don't have on the layout, it's here, this part. This part, it's actually this part. So we don't have metrics on the mobile device because they basically don't fit. So we don't have to send the stuff that we don't need to mobile devices, and that's how we do it. And this is the phone version. So that's basically how I built this interactive visualization. And I used open source packages. First, Tribot is a very important part of this. This is an NPM package, node package model. And this, it's all the logic behind the multi-platform, deciding what screen, what to show, what not to show. Insert CSS is what lets us, remember we are deploying this inside a CMS. Like all I have, it's I can give them a code, an embed code, and this has to work in this. This cannot be an iframe because it will be too heavy. I will have to load a query again. I will have to load a lot of things that this web page is already loading, and it makes no sense at all. But I cannot have control over the CSS of this command, so I use insert CSS, which is an NPM model that helps do this. This is the one I've been talking to you about to handle data, trigger events, and make a much better program. And this is the key for this visualization, is the D3JS library. And this what let us build stuff like this, what lets us build stuff like this, and it was gives us the scale and all the logic behind building those graphs, which is pretty complicated. So this is the way I build Miami Gardens for Fusion TV and Fusion.net.